In part 3 of this multiplayer basics in Unity 6 series, we will start implementing pickable tools so that we can learn about the challenges of synchronizing gameplay over the network. In a multiplayer game, objects like tools might be shared between players. In a client-server topology, server is the one owning those objects. So if a client wants to interact with those objects, it has to send a request to the server, which sends an update about the state of the tool to every client connected to our session. Here, the tool disappears from every client's screen and appears in the hand of the client who interacted with the tool. The server acts as a single source of truth, deciding who gets the tool if multiple clients try to interact with it at the same time. Netcode for GameObjects provides us with two synchronization tools. The NetworkVariables allows us to synchronize properties between server and client and persist the value so everyone can always check it. RPCs are more like events, which allows us to send a message between the client and a server without storing any data. To compare it with a single-player game, a health value would be a network variable, while a hit event would be sent as an RPC. Let's use those in practice by creating interactable tools. For that, we need a few scripts, so let's go to the _scripts folder, right-click, create, and we are going to select scripting and an empty C# script, and let's call this interactable. And let's open it up. We will define it as an interface, and let's create a method void toggle selection, and we are going to pass bool isSelected, and let's add a property network object. And let's call this the same network object. And we are going to just add a getter get. And this will be it. We will have to add using unity.netcode at the top for this to work. And let's save it. Let's go back to Unity. The interface does not have an interact method because its only purpose will be to help us highlight the objects that we can interact with in our game. If I go a bit fast, feel free to visit the GitHub repository linked in the description, select the video that you are following, and verify my scripts with yours. The next script that we will need will be just a mono behavior, and let's call this PickableBase. And let's open it up. This script will inherit from network behavior and implement the interactable interface. Delete start and update method. I'm going to right click, quick action, and implement interface, which will add for me only the toggle selection method. Because we inherit from the network behavior, it already contains the network object property, so we do not have to add it manually in our script. Let us create our first network variable. This will be a protected network variable. And we are going to add in the triangle brackets bool. Let's call it m_isAvailable equals new. And inside the parentheses, we can define the default value, true. But we can also add two additional parameters. Network variable read permission .everyone, but we can also switch it to the owner. And network variable write permission, and this can be a server or an owner. In the previous video, we have already discussed the ownership and authority and how the position and animations of a player object are synchronized and assigned by the client rather than the server. Usually, we had to switch the authority from the server to the owner, and that's exactly the same setting, but with the network variable and how we can switch it between the server and the owner. In this case, we only want the server to be able to change the value of this network variable. You can read more about the permissions of a network variable in the documentation. Beside the network variable, we are going to add two fields, serialized field private, selection outline m_outline, and serialized field private object type m_object type. The selection outline is a script that will switch the layer name from the current layer to the outline so that we can outline an object, and it is explained in this video. And the object type is just a type of an object as enum. For our simple interaction system, we are going to define what is the object, and this will help us to decide how the player can interact with it. Now we are also exposing as properties public bool can be picked up, and it will return the value of m_isAvailable.value. And because of the read permission, everyone can read it, but we do not necessarily want to expose this network variable as a public variable. We want to keep it private or protected, and we can expose a property. And we are going to do the same with the object type. With that in our script, let's type override. And in Visual Studio, we can select on network, and we want to find OnNetworkSpawn to automatically create this method. Network behavior has some specific methods, similar to the awake, start, and update methods of a default mono behavior, but those are specific for the multiplayer. In a multiplayer game, objects don't just get instantiated, they also need to be spawned into our network simulation. Some objects, like the ground, the skybox, and other elements, exist locally because they do not take part in the multiplayer simulation. But objects that need to be synchronized across all players, like our player character, tools, resource nodes, those are network objects, and they need to be spawned into the network session. OnNetworkSpawn method is called when the object joins the multiplayer session, and it is actually called on each client because on each client's machine the object is being spawned. And here we can type below the base.onNetworkSpawn m_isAvailable.onValueChanged plus equals, and let's type onAvailabilityChanged. This will be the name of our method. I'm going to right-click, quick action, and generate this method. OnValueChanged is an event that allows us to react the moment the network variable value gets updated. The method takes two bool flags because the bool is the type of our network variable, the previous value, and the new value. We want to type here the apply availability state, passing the new value, so the current value that we have assigned. We can right-click on it, quick action, and generate this method. But we are not going to define isLogic here. Let's change it to protected, abstract, void apply availability, and semicolon at the end. For this to work, we will make our PickableBase class abstract as well. Now, we want to find the OnNetworkSpawn method, and not only we want to assign this onAvailabilityChanged to the onValueChanged event, we want to call applyAvailabilityState, passing the m_isAvailable.value whenever the OnNetworkSpawn method is being called. Let me explain. When a client picks up a tool from the map, it will disappear from the map and appear in the hand of the client, so the one that has interacted with the tool. In our code, we are going to simply call setEnabled method to change the visibility of the object. When a new client joins after the object was already picked up, the event OnValueChanged will not be sent. Instead, the new client will already know the newest value of the network variable. So that is why, because the OnValueChanged will not be triggered for a late joining client, in OnNetworkSpawn, which will run on every client's machine when they are joining our session, we need to apply the current state of our network variable, and this might change the visibility of an object, for example. We are almost done with the script. Let's create a public void pickup method, and here we want to check if we are a server if this is equal to false, we are going to return. And this is because only the server can write to this m_isAvailable method, and when the object is picked up, we want to assign m_isAvailable.value equals false. because we have picked up this object and it is not available for other clients. Additionally, we want to call onPickedUp method, and this will be another abstract method, so public protected abstract, and let's add a semicolon at the end. Okay. This is because we have two types of objects in our game. The tools that will be picked up and they will disappear from the map and will reappear at a different position when the client drops them. So when I pick up a wood resource that we will implement soon, the pickaxe will be dropped, so the object will stay on the ground, but the wood resource will be despawned because it is basically destroyed from the game world when I drop it off at the collection point. So that's why we are going to create two subclasses. Each one will implement different logic based on the needs of our project. Lastly, we need to implement this toggle selection method. I will just paste the code. We are going to check if m_outline is not null. So if our reference to the selection outline is not null, we will call m_outline.toggleOutline, passing the bool flag that was passed here. So we are going to toggle on and off the outline of the object. One last thing that we may want to add is sometimes when we assign a callback to an event, in this case in OnNetworkSpawn method, we may want to override public void OnNetworkDespawn, and we may want to even call it before the base OnNetworkDespawn, so we are unassigning our callback from the OnValueChanged event, just in case. It is a good practice with the events to unassign our callbacks. Okay, for now that's it. Save the script, go back to Unity. Let's stop here and we will continue in the next video. See you there!